KJA Global Channel. The Political System in Me. Series 4, The Political System Across Every Sector of Society. Episode 51, Technology and Skills Fields, Engineers, Builders, Data Workers, and Teachers. I used to believe that skill was neutral. That an engineer simply solved problems. A builder simply raised structures. A data worker simply analyzed facts. A teacher simply delivered lessons. But the same skill can become either a bridge or a cage. A bridge when competence is free and governed by ethics. A cage when competence is captured and governed by fear. Every profession that builds, measures, teaches, codes, designs, repairs, or certifies must live inside institutions. This is where our question begins. Does technical skill serve the public good, or is it converted into an instrument of secrecy, corruption, manipulation, and unsafe power? The political system is the invisible environment in which skill either thrives or decays. A nation is not developed because it has projects. A nation is developed when it has competence with conscience. Skills guided by public purpose. Standards protected from pressure. Records that can be examined. Professionals who can tell the truth without being destroyed. This episode is about engineers, builders, data workers, teachers, and the institutions surrounding them. They form part of society's nervous system and skeleton, translating policy into infrastructure, evidence into decisions, and knowledge into the next generation. If they are free and accountable, the nation can rise. If they are captured, the nation may become a sophisticated failure, beautiful on paper, corrupt in reality, and dangerous in practice. The system reveal is professional standards, infrastructure integrity, and data integrity. Skills are a quiet civilization engine. Competence captured by fear becomes complicity. Engineers, builders, data workers, and teachers each hold power over reality and truth. Engineers decide whether systems carry weight, water, energy, transport, and risk safely. Builders decide whether approved designs become durable reality or dangerous shortcuts. Data workers decide whether evidence remains accurate or becomes a political illusion. Teachers decide whether the next generation learns inquiry or obedience without thought. The national skill contract is competence plus integrity plus public purpose, knowing the work, refusing falsification or danger, and remembering who carries the consequences. Professional standards are democratic safeguards. Building codes, engineering licenses, teaching standards, and data governance rules limit unsafe practice, manipulation, and misuse. Standards must be clear, current, evidence-based, public, and enforceable. A standard that nobody can inspect becomes private power. A standard that is never enforced becomes theater. Licensing should protect the public rather than monopoly privilege. It needs genuine competence tests, transparent criteria, fair examinations, continuing education, conflict controls, discipline, appeal, and protection from interference. A license should not be purchasable through bribery. Nor should it be removable because a professional refused an unlawful order. Technical independence does not mean professionals govern without accountability. It means technical judgment cannot be secretly replaced by political convenience. Engineers and builders carry duties before and during construction, investigation, design review, hazard assessment, material specification, accessibility, environmental impact, inspection, testing, change control, records, and refusal to certify unsafe work. Unsafe infrastructure is slow-motion national collapse. A bridge may fail in one moment after years of weak procurement, false testing, political pressure, missing maintenance, and hidden records. Builders must not be forced to cut corners because contracts are underpriced, payments are delayed, or officials demand private percentages. Procurement design therefore shapes safety. The cheapest bid is not always the best value. Public contracts should assess competence, safety history, beneficial ownership, technical method, lifecycle cost, quality assurance, and capacity to deliver. Contract changes should be justified, materials tested, supervision independent, and payments tied to verified progress. Maintenance is also part of professional integrity. A nation that celebrates new projects but neglects maintenance is financing future failure. Data workers hold a different form of power. Data is the new public power. Statistics shape budgets, health, education, policing, elections, welfare, disasters, and public memory. Data integrity requires accurate collection, documented methods, secure storage, traceable changes, quality checks, appropriate access, and honest publication. A number can look objective while hiding choices about what was counted, who was excluded, which definition was used, and what uncertainty was concealed. Data workers must distinguish evidence from pressure. They should not be ordered to change results, delete inconvenient groups, conceal error, or present uncertainty as certainty. Privacy is part of integrity. Public institutions may need data, but collection should be necessary, proportionate, secure, purpose-limited, reviewable, and protected from surveillance, discrimination, retaliation, or exploitation. Automated systems create additional duties. Algorithms can affect access to credit, services, jobs, education, benefits, and public attention. Their use should be explainable, tested for error and bias, monitored in practice, and subject to human review and appeal. Teachers hold power over knowledge and citizenship. Teaching is not the delivery of approved words. A teacher helps students learn how to ask, compare, verify, reason, cooperate, create, and take responsibility. Dictatorships understand this deeply. They may turn classrooms into spaces of obedience, propaganda, historical erasure, and fear. Democratic education requires honest evidence, pluralism, age-appropriate inquiry, professional boundaries, and freedom from partisan coercion. Teachers need competence, fair recruitment, development, resources, ethical standards, protection from intimidation, and accountability for abuse, discrimination, exploitation, falsified results, and misconduct. Professional ethics must be independent enough to resist capture. Codes of conduct should define duties to safety, truth, confidentiality, competence, fairness, and public interest. Discipline must follow evidence and due process. Otherwise, professional accountability can become a weapon against honest dissent. Whistleblowing may reveal unsafe designs, false data, corrupt contracts, manipulated examinations, missing materials, or concealed risks. Reporting channels should protect confidentiality, evidence, non-retaliation, and fair assessment of genuine concerns. A professional should not have to choose between public safety and personal survival. Dictatorships rarely hate competence itself. They hate competence that becomes independent. First, opportunity is politicized, turning contracts, promotions, scholarships, licenses, and leadership into rewards for loyalty. Second, integrity is punished, making honest professionals obstacles to power. Third, professionals become instruments, engineers sign unsafe projects, builders ignore standards, data workers distort reality, and teachers indoctrinate. Errors then become disasters. Rebuilding requires more than training. It requires institutions where competence can speak, records can survive, and correction can occur. Federal democracy requires coordination. National standards may protect common safety and qualification mobility, while regional and local institutions adapt delivery to geography, language, industry, and community need. Authority must remain clear so licensing, procurement, inspection, and responsibility cannot be separated into excuses. To understand technology and skills fields, follow the accountability chain. Authority, duty, record, oversight, answer, correction, consequence. Authority asks who approved the design, license, standard, contract, dataset, curriculum, or certification. Duty asks what the professional, agency, contractor, school, regulator, or ministry was required to do. Record asks what evidence should exist: calculations, drawings, tests, inspections, source data, methods, lesson plans, decisions, or approvals. Oversight asks who can independently examine technical judgment and institutional pressure. Answer asks who must explain what happened and why. Correction asks what can repair the defect, restore integrity, retrain staff, amend policy, or protect the public. Consequence asks what follows when responsibility is deliberately or negligently violated. A broken outcome may begin far upstream. The visible harm may be a collapsed structure, corrupted dataset, unsafe product, failed system, manipulated examination, or distorted classroom. But the deeper failure may be an unjust rule, captured licensing body, corrupt procurement, missing record, political instruction, weak review, or remedy that exists only on paper. The chain prevents us from reducing failure to one engineer, teacher, builder, or analyst. It identifies where authority, competence, evidence, ethics, oversight, correction, or enforcement stopped working. When citizens and professionals locate that break, criticism becomes more accurate and reform becomes more practical. For this episode, the principal mechanism is professional standards and infrastructure and data integrity. The production graphic must make every link readable on a phone screen and label country-specific or proposed arrangements honestly. Under dictatorship, technology and skills fields follow concentrated command, information is restricted, opportunity follows loyalty, and challenge may carry personal risk. In a fragile democracy, formal rules may coexist with patronage, corruption, weak capacity, politicized licensing, poor procurement, standards without inspection, data without integrity, and professionals without protection. In a functioning federal democracy, distributed authority allows regulators, professional bodies, courts, auditors, universities, legislatures, media, and citizens to test technical power. Comparison is a method of judgment, not a slogan or ranking exercise. The viewer should compare who decides, how authority was obtained, whether records are public, whether affected people participate, and whether whistleblowing, audit, and correction exist in practice. The democratic design must survive weak leaders, political disagreement, and changes of government. The minimum guardrails are: 1. Competence and licensing standards. Qualifications, examinations, continuing education, scope of practice, and certification should follow public, fair, and reviewable rules. 2. Independent professional ethics and discipline. Codes, complaint bodies, investigations, hearings, sanctions, and appeals should protect integrity without becoming political weapons. 3. Transparent procurement and quality assurance. Specifications, ownership, bids, design changes, testing, inspections, payments, and performance records should be traceable and independently reviewable. 4. Safety, data, and public interest duties. Professionals and institutions must protect life, accuracy, privacy, accessibility, truth, and long-term public value. 5. Whistleblowing, audit, and correction. Safe reporting, evidence preservation, independent audit, non-retaliation, and enforceable remedy are necessary when systems fail. These safeguards work as a system. Licensing without ethics can protect a closed profession. Ethics without records cannot prove failure. Procurement without inspection can purchase danger. Whistleblowing without protection can destroy honest professionals. And correction without enforcement does not repair harm. Global relevance. Across political labels, ask who sets standards, who certifies competence, what records exist, who can expose danger, and whether correction is real. Myanmar relevance. Use lived experience only where it clarifies the mechanism. Do not treat one authority, university, professional body, company, community, or proposal as the whole country. Separate existing institutions from interim systems, local practice, political commitments, commercial arrangements, and aspirational federal designs. Here is the civic practice for this episode. See and ask. Ask where, in your field, a technical decision is really a moral decision. Notice safety, data, procurement, licensing, teaching, accessibility, and public interest duties. Verify. Examine professional standards, safety codes, procurement specifications, data governance rules, inspection records, audit findings, and disciplinary pathways. ACT. Identify one technical decision that affects dignity or safety. Connect it to a standard, responsible professional, required record, independent reviewer, and available remedy. Do not expose confidential information or convert the exercise into a public accusation. Review. Record whether you can name the responsible institution, the evidence, the safeguard or remedy, and one safe next step. The measure of success is not visibility. It is whether you can identify evidence, responsibility, a credible safeguard, and the safest practical action. Skill is powerful. And power always asks, will you serve me? When engineers lie, bridges collapse. When builders cut corners, homes become traps. When data workers distort, policy becomes blind. When teachers indoctrinate, democracy dies in the classroom. A society that honors competent, ethical, public purpose work becomes resilient and can solve problems without lying to itself. A nation becomes truly modern by building institutions where skill serves truth, safety, dignity, and the public good. The principle to carry forward is this. Skills are a quiet civilization engine. Competence captured by fear becomes complicity. Ask yourself, what part of technical professions and public safety have I treated as normal even though it should be visible, answerable, and correctable? Good intentions depend on character. Good systems depend on standards, records, and accountability. Continue the playlist, use the worksheet, and keep the practice safe, truthful, and disciplined. The system shapes our lives. Our participation shapes the system. Subscribe. Learn. Participate. Shape the future. KJA Knowledge justifies authority.